Welcome to Mine EX-Plorers, episode 19.
19.
It means we've been recording for 19 weeks in a row. We have not missed a week. Technically 18 because we did a bonus episode.
We did a bonus episode.
We got fired up about Fast 41 or something and did an extra episode just to be more timely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like those are still around.
Yeah.
Hard to say if they've made progress, but
they have, definitely. There was a mine here in Utah, the Velvet Woods mine, that they gave a 2-week environmental review deadline and they made it in the deadline.
Utah is good for that.
So it was a test. Well, so it's Utah, but it's also mostly federal. Mm-hmm. So Utah's great. The DOGM's great. They ballpark permits. They work with all the agencies. When you're doing a permitting, like you sit in a room, they bring in all the stakeholders, water, air, all the different people, and if SHPO, State Historical Preservation Office, everybody, and if they don't have concerns, they basically just leave. And then you're left with the agencies that need to see more. Mm-hmm. You work with them directly. DOGM ballparks it to...
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Ballparks. They quarterback it. Sorry. There's not really a good baseball analogy. No, a ballpark is different than a quarterback. But basically, they quarterback the process. So.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So, what's on tap today?
Well, I think we should talk about AI again, since that's the hot topic. We're seeing a lot of changes wildly fast. I mean, you've been delving into it a lot lately. So I was curious to see, like, what are you using with AI right now?
So, I've been plugging away a long time with AI. I started using AI about 3 years ago. Really early, like image generation. Mm-hmm. Then I signed up for ChatGPT in the first week. But I've kind of stuck to GPT.
Right.
Because I bought a pro subscription, and I bought, whenever they come out with the newest one, I buy that. I try their experimental stuff. And I'd use Gemini to kind of check things against. And then I'd kind of just ignored Google other than that.
Right.
Then this last week, they came out with VO3, which we'll show examples of here.
Hi, Mine EX-Plorers. Happy to be here.
Pretty crazy, right? VO3 does audio. So suddenly we have a video generator that also does audio. And it'll do background sounds, it'll do full soundtracks. You can have people fighting and machine guns and war sounds.
So you can create your own movie.
Basically, it's still experimental. It'll only do 8 seconds at a time,
sure.
Which is a huge limitation.
Yeah.
I wanted to interview VO for this episode, but the limitations in stringing together the clips and stuff, it just wasn't really going to work well. But it's something we'll definitely be able to do in a few months.
So when you say interview, like you're talking to the AI agent and it's having a full-on conversation.
Right.
Because I've heard people doing that with ChatGPT.
Right. So it's something we're working on doing later this year. It'll be a surprise when I announce it. Mm-hmm. But we're doing that for a panel where we'll have an AI panel, and we'll actually have an AI on the panel talking about construction aggregates. Talk a little bit more about that later once we finalize the schedule.
Interesting.
But
is it going to be long-winded where it like just speaks for like 20, 30 minutes?
I don't think so. No, I think it'll be very conversational. Well, you can just tell it to. Like, I want short responses.
Huh.
But right now the idea is to have it be audio only, but with VO and this technology and stuff, there's a slight possibility by the time it comes around, we might be able to actually have a face on a screen that you can talk to that actually interacts.
And you can make that any face you want.
Yep. So VO came out amazing, blew my mind, because I've been using Sora a lot, which is OpenAI's video generator. VO3 took it to the next level. And then I was like, what else is Google working on? So I subscribed to Google Ultra, which gives you access to all of their advanced features. And that includes Project Mariner, which is an experimental AI agent that is currently sandboxed to a browser. But basically what an AI agent is the AI will actually act on your behalf, and it can open websites, and it can do research, and it can log into things.
Wow.
So I've been experimenting with Project Mariner, and I don't want to give too many things away because I'm cooking up a couple things that are going to give us a huge strategic advantage for our teams to be a lot more efficient. And it's very specific to our industry and segments of it. So I'm not going to give away exactly what I'm building, but I've been doing early tests and it's incredible.
That's wild.
I can give it my login credentials and it can log into different websites. It can review comments, it can review content, it can give me suggestions for different things. It can be a full marketing agent. It can look at like your feed of posts you've been making and suggest new ones and then go into another program and generate examples.
That's crazy. I mean, it's kind of exciting because it will save a lot of time on like the redundant tasks, right?
Yes.
Like the things that you need to do that just takes a lot of time. It's not necessarily a good use of your time. So like being able to have an AI agent do that, I think that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about that today of like, you know, just saving our team time doing the repetitive task is huge so they can work on the more important things. But then something else I realized, like being in the mining industry, we're very much a boots on the ground kind of company. Like AI is not coming for that right now. Maybe in the future we can use it as like an enhancement, but I just don't see that segment going away. I mean, we still have to physically go out and stake mining claims. We still have to physically go out and get samples from the ground, right? And we still have to physically log the core when it's coming out of the drill rigs.
But the difference it'll make is once you have the data and you take it back to the computer, then
you can
it can compile it all. It can make reports. It can make, it can do, you know, analysis, and it can take like a bunch of geochemistry data and identify trends, and it can do, eventually it'll be able to do all the geologic modeling, the mine planning, everything else. But there's still, nobody's going to go execute a mine plan that hasn't been signed off on by an actual mining engineer.
Or looked at. The property hasn't been looked at.
Yes. And nobody's going to believe a resource estimate that an experienced, competent geologist hasn't signed off on. And furthermore, the regulatory agencies, you know, under, you know, the SEC and Canada security commissions, they're not going to modify the NI 43-101 or the SK 1300 requirements to allow AI to sign off on reports for another decade, probably. So all of our people...
Do you think that's a possibility, though?
Absolutely. But it'll be another decade.
At least, yeah.
And the boots on the ground collecting the data is still going to be manual. Like in 10 years, your field team may be able to take all the data, plug it into an AI, and the AI can find gaps, find inconsistencies, generate models, come up with reserves, do all the geostatistical analysis.
I mean, I think there's a ton of potential to incorporate AI throughout the entire process, but we're still going to need people out there.
Well, and that's what I was saying. So the AI can write the report, and maybe in 10 years, the regulatory agencies will accept these AIs are considered qualified people to sign off on things. And I could see that happening, but
I feel like that's
how
going
long
to
is
be
it
an
going to
expensive
be
license
till you have or just everybody has access to it?
Yeah.
Because AI is democratizing so much of the knowledge now. But it's going to be a lot longer, probably 50 years, till we have an automated drill rig that can go out. The AI tells it where to drill, selects a target, it drills, it collects the core, it changes the rods, because you get, there's the data side, but then there's all the physical limitations. You need robotics advanced enough to do all that.
Well, it's interesting because I actually toured a drill manufacturer in Texas last year, and they have automated drills right now, but those are designed for blasting. So they have a specific grid that they run on, but they can do almost all of those things.
They don't need to collect samples.
They don't need to collect samples, but they can change rods, they can change drill bits, they can move completely autonomously, which is really neat. But exploration's a little different because we're collecting samples. But I mean, again, we're not too far away from that.
Collecting samples and the depth. So obviously blasting is not going nearly as deep as exploration unless you're just looking at like a superficial sand and gravel or stone deposit or something.
Right.
And then it's all in a pattern, and it's all to a certain depth, and it's all straight up and down or at a designated angle.
Yeah.
Whereas exploration drilling, especially when you get really advanced, like directional drilling and stuff, I mean, it gets a lot more complicated. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a really long time till you have an AI mechanic who can go out and fix things when they go wrong. So you're still going to have a human who's keeping an eye on things and doing that. But
For sure.
yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, times are changing.
But for our team and our experts, I think there's a hesitation to adapt AI. But two things are for sure. The genie's out of the bottle. It's not going back in.
Yep.
It's here to stay. And the companies who embrace AI and build it into their workflows the quickest are going to win. And the companies who resist it are going to lose, because right now things are moving at such a quick pace that technology is advancing to where 2 weeks is what used to be 2 years, and 2 months is 2 decades. It's moving so quickly. But I think the assurance is for our team is, hey, use it for all your mundane tasks. Data collection, data analysis, always use it for auditing. Have it double check your work. There's no harm in that. You're still writing, you're still doing it. It's double checking. Like,
I love it for
what are the flaws in
emails
this thing? Like, look at this CapEx spreadsheet for this new mine startup. Here's our typical models and where things typically come in. What's abnormal with this? Have it do all the auditing, and then take comfort in the fact that you're the humans with the experience and the knowledge and the credentials. So even if AI is writing 100% of the report in 5 years, you're still reviewing and signing it.
At the end of the day, a person still
Which
needs
is what we're actually paying
be
you for
responsible
at the end of the day.
for that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's moving super quick.
It is. It's wild. It's interesting times. It's kind of exciting to be on it, but you gotta, like you were saying, you gotta pay attention.
It's terrifying too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been not necessarily pro AI, because there's definitely a lot of it that's frightening and terrifying. But I've been really closely watching it and adapting it. And there's sometimes I'll be doing an AI task, like trying this new VO3,
Right.
and typing in text and having it generate a person who says it like almost flawlessly.
See, that's crazy.
I stop and I get a little scared sometimes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, because you just never, I mean, it's even happening now. You just don't know what's real.
Right.
You have no idea what's real. So like going back to authenticity, that's going to be huge.
Yep.
People are going to need that face-to-face interaction just to make sure that you're a real person.
So the pendulum's already shifted towards face and screens all the time, and digital. And people are addicted to that dopamine. You know, they need their reels, they need their social media, they need to constantly be entertained.
Yeah.
You ran that marathon last week.
Half marathon.
And people were literally on their phones while they were running. Like,
Yeah.
they couldn't just put it down. And like, maybe they were checking stats or stuff, but like, I think some of them were just like bored and scrolling
I always saw
Facebook
one
while
person
they
on their
run.
phone checking stats, which I think is still scary. I don't run with a phone.
But so the pendulum's going to swing to where AI generates all the on-demand entertainment, content, interaction you could want. And then people are just going to get like super burned out. They're going to run out of dopamine, and then it's going to switch back the other way. And I see a big shift back into like, people aren't going to go watch movies at the theater anymore, because they can do that at home with AI and they can star in their own movies. They don't need to go see, like, why go see a DJ who's just playing his music and tweaking some knobs?
But what about the need for
Because you can just, hang on, let me finish the thought. Because he can just do that. You can make your own music just however you want. It's customized to you. People are going to burn out on that. And they're going to want to go back and they're going to want to watch a play.
Yeah.
Where there's an actual person in front of them acting. They're going to go back to plays. They're going to want to go see a symphony. They're going to want to go see a stand-up comedian, because the AI can make jokes and joke videos all day long. They're going to want to go see a person who can interact with the audience and do it live. There's going to be a big swing back towards that. But things are going to get really extreme on the digital side for a while, and then it'll come back. I don't know if it's a 10 or 20-year arc, but I'm planning on investing in playhouses, like stand-up comedian venues, things like Meetup and stuff like that are all gonna decline and then come back in a huge way.
Yeah, it's important for that human interaction.
But people are gonna go without it and then be starved for it, and then it'll swing back hard.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not too damaging.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But a lot of these industries kind of did it to themselves. I mean, Hollywood relied so much on CG and green screens. It's like, do you really need an actor? And with AI,
well, and putting all of these rules on like who needs to be in films is just like you're destroying the creative juices.
And unionizing every single aspect of it.
Yeah.
And stifling creativity outside of certain venues.
I mean, just to make basic movies cost millions of dollars. It's insane.
Well, and half of it's going to your 1 or 2 stars.
Right.
And so AI stars of the future, like they'll forego any actor likenesses and just make up new actors that they own lock, stock, and barrel creative rights to, and then they don't have to pay anybody. Their star actor will require like $500 a month in storage.
They'll have to buy their own power plants just to supply it.
Well, and that's a whole nother aspect. We can get into the power, but
maybe we'll save that for a different episode.
What do you think Blue thinks about all this?
As long as he's fed, he's okay.
He's funny. He's craving attention today, obviously.
Yeah, he's my buddy.
It's been a while since we had Blue on.
Yeah, well, he's ready to make an appearance.
Critters.
Speaking of critters,
let's talk about critters with founded minds.
What is the most interesting critter we found in a mine?
So we have lots of rattlesnake stories.
Unique, I should say.
Probably a turtle.
Turtle. I was going to say turtle. Yeah, we found, I think it was a snapping turtle.
Baby one.
A baby snapping turtle. He fit in the palm of my hand, about this big, at the bottom of an incline in North Carolina.
The Civil War mine.
In an old Civil War mine, yeah.
And I think that mine had water in it.
It had water.
People were rafting down there.
Yeah. There was a bit of debris down there, but we saw him just hanging out. He looked fine, so I was wearing coveralls, so I put him in my pocket when I rappelled out. And then we found a little old creek bed to put him in, and then as we were leaving, we're like, oh, I hope he finds an old man turtle to be buddies with. And then sure enough, another turtle comes walking by.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was cool. Turtle in a mine. We found lots of snakes.
Yep, lots of snakes. All kinds of different snakes.
Bats, owls.
Thousands of bats.
Seagulls occasionally.
Yeah, you got
Pigeons.
scared by owls once.
Yeah, so we were up at the Eagle and Bluebell mine in Eureka, which is really cool. The head frame is so deep and there's water at the bottom that it actually steams kind of year round at night, and then when it's cool out. In the middle of the summer, I don't think you see the mist quite as much. It's still there a little bit.
You can feel the temperature change though when you're near the shaft.
Definitely.
And it's honestly, I think it's one of the most interesting and terrifying mine shafts around, because it's just so deep and so big that, if you're afraid of mines, like, I could see why looking at that one. Like, it's scary.
Yeah, it's graded now, but it didn't used to be.
Yeah.
So we were out there many years ago, and there were Tarantula Hawks flying around. I'll put a picture of a Tarantula Hawk.
Those are frightening.
Tarantula Hawks, they hunt tarantulas. They're in the wasp family. They're huge. They're like this big with their wings and everything. They fly around, kind of low to the ground, and they hover, and they find tarantulas, and they sting them, and they dig a hole, and they bury the tarantulas with their eggs. And then the baby wasps are born in the tarantulas, they eat it, and then they come back out.
It's
hyper specialized, super big, but their sting is the second most painful in the insect kingdom.
Yep.
So there's bullet ants,
number 1.
Tarantula hawk number 2.
Yep.
They're not aggressive, they don't hunt people, but theoretically you could get stung. Somebody found out they're the second most painful. And there's that weird guy on YouTube who has all the painful stuff sting him.
Right. People are crazy. But
So there were Tarantula Hawks flying around, and we were going in this mine, and I was kind of freaked out because you see Tarantula Hawks and you know it's the second most painful, and they're just big and scary looking. And bees and wasps don't usually bother me, but those do.
Well, yeah, it's the second most painful sting in the world, and just that whole area it's a little creepy.
It's a little creepy.
It's a little creepy. A lot of deaths have happened in that mine back in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Some dramatic examples like people passing out and falling out of a cage when it's coming up the mine, which is fairly common.
Well, so Eureka is an interesting district because it gets really hot as you go down further, right? So they have the hydrothermals down there.
Some of the mines, not all of them.
Yeah, but the Eagle and Bluebell in particularly does. That's
Eagle
why
and Bluebell,
it
and
seems...
then over on the Trixie and the Bergen, they had trouble with hydrothermal.
Yeah.
So maybe not the Trixie as much, but the Bergen, I know they had like boiling water would get in guys' boots and stuff.
Oh,
on the lower levels.
like I remember reading, so Utah, the University of Utah digitized a lot of the old newspapers, pretty much whatever they had, which is fascinating. But I remember going down a rabbit hole one day and looking at all of the deaths that happened in Eureka, and most of them were from the Eagle and Bluebell.
Yeah.
From the water, from hot water.
Still safer than coal mining. I went to Helper, Utah this last weekend, and
Cool.
they have a great little mining museum, and they have a plaque outside. They have an indoor museum and then an outdoor area that has a bunch of mining equipment, a couple small long walls, continuous miners, little haul trucks, shuttles, and a mucking machine that Miko sat inside of, which is pretty cute. So they have this plaque at the mining museum, and what surprised me about it's not the big fatalities. Like there's Winter Quarters, which is over 100, Castlegate, which was like over 200, and then other fatalities added up to big numbers. Mm-hmm. But what surprised me was the other mines that didn't have any major accidents that still racked up like 50, 60, 70 fatalities.
Wow.
Over some pretty short spans, like 20-year spans.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that safety culture has come such a long way.
Such a long way. Yeah.
Underground coal mining in the United States is well below logging, fishing, I think just general construction.
So interesting enough, I did pull some stats because I was curious to see how well mining ranked. And mining, this is a broad term, coal, hard rock, quarries.
Can we put a pin in that real quick?
Yeah.
I wanted to finish my story, and then I segued into the next topic accidentally. But we were the Eagle and Bluebell, and there were Tarantula Hawks flying around, and I was ducking in to get into this little adit behind the shaft that's since closed. I know there's an internal winds in there. And I was ducking down, and I'm crawling, and I can't see anything. And suddenly, this big black shape drops from the ceiling, and I'm like already kind of on edge of the tarantula hawk. So I turn around and I go running out of there screaming like a girl. And you guys were laughing, and it was an owl. A full-size owl was grabbed onto my backpack, and he was flapping me.
No, it looks...
So I come running out with this owl on my back, and then like 10 pigeons came out of the mine after him.
I was far enough back where I could see the whole scene unfold.
So that was a critter adventure. And then the ringtail cats in mines are always super cool.
Yeah, I remember them visiting camp.
Yep.
Just visiting camp, and they're so stinking cute.
Seen some cool ones. Gila monsters, lots of critters on field trips. But back to the safety records in the coal mines.
Yes.
So go ahead.
So
get some stats.
So I do. I pulled some stats from our good friend ChatGPT with sources, by the way. We can post them if you'd like. This is from 2023. It didn't have anything from 2024, but it pulled it from the Bureau of Bureau of Labor Statistics, I believe.
The BLS, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So interesting enough, looking at fatalities per 100,000 full-time employees, agricultural, forestry, and fishing is ranked number 1 at 20.3. And mining, quarry, oil, and gas is 16.9. And then below that is transportation, warehousing, construction, manufacturing, and educational and health services at 0.8. So one of the safer industries. But I mean, that just goes to show, like, if you were... the mining industry has come a long way since the early days of coal mining without any safety equipment.
It would have been at the top for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, it does take all of these disasters to make real changes. I mean, that's where MSHA came from, was from the Sunshine disaster in the 70s.
Yep.
You know, but it's, I mean, we're learning from our mistakes, which is good. And we're getting better all the time. I mean, we are a small company. We have 22 employees, and we take safety very seriously. You know, we have even appointed one of our employees to be a health and safety director.
And we keep track of days without a lost time incident. And we signed up for a bunch of safety tracking,
monitoring and reporting
agencies that are voluntary, that give us the ability to work on large mine sites.
Yep.
We take it very seriously, and our clients do too. And the bigger the clients, the more seriously they take it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's why it's so important that we have that culture and then we keep it. We were recently graded on the ISN program, which is, they do safety compliance, right? So we have to report all of our SOPs, our documents, our policies for safety, and we were just graded an A.
Nice. Congratulations.
It's very exciting.
Congratulations to Austin, our safety director.
That's right. No, he did a great job putting it all together and ensuring that we're always trained, and the team is trained, and we're doing the daily safety talks, and like in the field they're doing the tailgate talks, which is phenomenal. And the clients see that too.
Yeah, it's really important. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we learn from the mistakes, we get better. AI is going to be huge.
For sure.
For automation, monitoring, things like that. But even now, like just with the big culture, so I went and visited Wholesom's Double Slide plant. I talked about it in our last episode a couple weeks ago. And they were over 10 years without a lost time incident.
That's amazing.
But it's everybody's job. So when we went to do the tour, they sat us down and they said, now that you're on our site, you are part of our record.
Yes.
And so that's the responsibility. And they make sure to tell everyone that when they come on the site. Vendors, delivery, visitors, you're all part of this now. And it's a burden. Like, I felt that weight of, I need to, we were just doing a tour, but use the handrail. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure I watch my footing. I was just a little extra because I was like, man, I would hate to be the one to mess that up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of times those safety records are tied to cash bonuses, right? And you certainly
for the executives, yeah.
Yeah, or the entire mine, you know,
or the whole team, yeah.
The whole team.
Yep.
No, it's good. It's important. I mean, and it's important that even small service providers like us take it seriously as well, because we're a part of the industry. We want to keep that culture within it.
Yeah, and a lot of the time when there are accidents, there are contractors.
Yeah.
So as contractors, without maybe all the resources to dedicate a whole bunch of time and effort into it, it's important to really continually remind everybody that that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's important.
Safety always.
Choose safety always.
But yeah, like you were talking about with MSHA and we learn as we go. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to ride my bike all the time without a helmet. Mm-hmm. And now I see all the kids out, no matter how big or small they are, all wearing a helmet. I go skiing and snowboarding. The only guys that aren't really wearing helmets are the ones at the terrain park doing the stuff that really requires the helmets the most. But, they're just in that invincible phase till they break something.
Right. But sometimes it's the older people.
It's common. Yeah, I mean, generation. It's the same with motorcycles and stuff too. Yeah. I think younger folks are like, it becomes cool, it becomes standard.
Well,
and it's the same with safety. Like, I don't feel manly or cool when I go up and down the stairs holding the handrail like, I need to for balance. But I know based on experience and training and going to all these different mines that that's a really important habit to get into.
3 points of contact always. Yeah.
And we know that in ladders going through abandoned mines, and learned the lesson was reiterated many times when rungs break out from under you.
Right, but sometimes like you get complacent when you're at home because you think, oh, I'm just doing this little thing. I need to be safe. I mean, there is a balance because sometimes you can definitely be over compliant, right? Where you're just pretty much in a bubble.
Yep.
And you're like, just gonna Band-Aid yourself up so you're always safe, you're always protected, but you just got to be smart about it.
Yep.
At the end of the day, just use your brain, use common sense.
Yeah,
you know,
little habits. I was thinking about for future episodes doing a safety share at the beginning.
we could do a safety
Something
share.
basic. Today, safety share, always walk around your vehicle before you get in and drive it.
Yeah.
It's a good one for mines, but and every year there's fatality in a mine somewhere that could have been prevented by doing that.
You know, driving is the most dangerous thing that we do.
Yep. But this time of year, there's kids and animals, and they're out, and so walking around your vehicle, you never know, like
Yeah.
someone could be behind it or something could be going on. So just walk around your vehicle before you get in it.
Yeah, and if you're backing out of your driveway, just go slow.
Yep, definitely.
Always go slow.
And don't just rely on your backup camera. Make sure you're looking back.
Yeah. Those backup cameras are pretty sweet, though, I gotta say.
They are, but they vary. Some of them are really narrow focused and they don't get the periphery.
Oh, mine get the periphery. It's
Yeah.
actually better than turning my head around.
Yeah, so it depends on your car. I know my truck's basically just good for getting the hitch hooked up to a trailer,
Yeah.
but it doesn't give that periphery, which is where, kids and animals coming up and down the street.
Yeah, that's true. Bottom line,
And Blue,
just be safe.
he's outside sometimes,
Yeah.
causing trouble.
Yeah, he's getting a little calmer in his old age. He's mostly just hairy.
All right. Thanks for watching episode 19, where we talked about AI, which is always a topic and I think very important for everyone to pay attention to. Whether you like it or not, understanding what it can do, its limitations, is going to be helpful. Even if you refuse to use it, knowing what other people are and how it's being used is really important. And
Very
then,
important.
Yeah, safety, share, and then some stories about
Post
critters.
your favorite AI tools in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you guys are using.
Yep. Maybe there's something we've missed or haven't found, and new ones are being built every day.
I'm sure there are millions out there already. AI building AI.
Yep, already happening.
Already happening. All right, till
Cool.
next time.
See you next time.